Just of recent, the Ethiopian Prime Minister, known as Abiy Ahmed, visited Uganda, and he was hosted at Entebbe State House, where he met Museveni. Now, these two people have two things in common, or one or two things in common. Both, they are under public pressure in their countries, their respective countries. The other, they are under international isolation because of the atrocities they have committed on their own people. So today on the breakdown, we are going to break down the Ethiopian Prime Minister's visit to Uganda. Why did he come to Uganda? Why did he visit Museveni? And what does he really want from Museveni? Coming right up. Now, Abiy Ahmed and Museveni go back a long way. Now, these two guys, they even reward or they award each other with medals. There is a medal in Uganda that the so-called highest medal, the Pearl of Africa medal, that Museveni always gives different dictators on the continent. He gave it to Emmerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe. He also gave it to Abiy Ahmed in 2018 during the Heroes' Day celebrations. So Museveni calls him to Kampala and gives him this unrecognized and unknown medal, the Pearl of Africa medal. Mr. Abiy Ahmed should recognize that those medals are made by Museveni for Museveni to reward people that he sees, to reward people that look like him in one way or the other. And also Abiy Ahmed should have understood that Museveni does not reward you because of good service. Museveni only rewards people knowing that, okay, this guy is going to be in trouble. He will need me and I will need them in one way or the other. So the unrecognized medal that Mr. Abiy Ahmed received in 2018, unfortunately, hasn't helped him with the problems that he is having at the moment. But now we see Abiy Ahmed, he has been traveling back and forth in Uganda, coming here and there, and, running around like a headless chicken because of the problems that he is facing in Tigray. Now, we understand that the situation in Tigray, actually, Mr. Abiy Ahmed has lost it all of a sudden, because for those of you who have been following the developments in that particular area, they show that the Ethiopian government, as we speak today, they have lost control of the Tigray area, and the TPLF has recaptured most of the areas and all this kind of stuff. But what was fascinating is the fact that Abiy Ahmed would actually invite the Eritreans to come into Ethiopia and try to, to prop him up and help him fight the Tigrayans in one way or the other. But then, as the war is trying to come down in Ethiopia and as pressure mounts to Mr. Abiy Ahmed, we see that he has been traversing the entire East African region, going to Sudan, going to Uganda, coming to Rwanda, which is really surprising, and also going to South Sudan to try to make sure that he gets as many allies as possible, because he knows that he messed up, he knows that he did a very big mistake, and things are now not being very well, or things are not moving very good for him. So in his trip, what is really interesting is the countries that he met. Number one, he goes to Sudan. Sudan has a very unstable government. South Sudan, that's what I mean. A very unstable government under Salva Kiir, under a lot of pressure to leave power, and whatever they did in South Sudan, we all know. He visits Museveni, just came out of an election, killed 60 people on November 20. The 18th and 19th of November, goes to Rwanda, having a lot of trouble with the dissent over there as well. And also Rwanda, we understand, has just deployed in Cabo Delgado on behalf of the French. Now, what was Abiy Ahmed looking for in Uganda? Now, according to different analysts that have been reading and who have been following this particular situation, they show that Abiy Ahmed has been looking for support, especially for these East African countries that are not in the good books of the West, who are, having that sort of rhetoric of saying the white man is the devil. Oh, Europeans, you are the worst. You have destroyed our continent. Blah blah blah, and all those kind of things. You know, people who are suffering, you know, in terms of popularity with their countries, as well as who are suffering in terms of international isolation. And then he goes to them and he's trying to make some sort of a club of the most isolated leaders on the continent of Africa. And so he needed that particular support. And Abiy Ahmed, that's why he visited Museveni, trying to tell him that, look here, man, can you, whenever you're making those speeches and talking to the international media, can you always talk about me as well? Look here, you gave me an award of recent, the Part of Africa award, even if it's not recognized. But please, you know, talk about me, that I'm a good leader and all that kind of stuff. Literally giving him legitimacy. The other issue is we all understand that there has been talks of thinking that Museveni might take the UPDF troops to Ethiopia in order to go as a peacekeeping force, just as it is in Somalia. But the problem with that is that the Ugandan troops in Somalia are being paid by AMISOM. The Rwandese troops in Mozambique are being paid by the French. Because the French have drilling interests of liquefied natural gas in Cabo Delgado. So the Rwandese are there to protect those provinces or areas where they are going to be mining this particular natural gas. But now, if you want Uganda to intervene as a peacekeeping force, it means someone has to foot the bill. Does Abiy Ahmed have the money to foot the bill? Absolutely not. Is there public support for such a venture? Absolutely not. Now, that's why you see Museveni, and the other issue is that Museveni, with the coups that are taking place on the continent and all this kind of stuff, Museveni is also, he doesn't want to engage in a fight where he thinks that the US, Museveni doesn't want to engage in a battle that is unpopular with the Western world, because the Western countries are his biggest donors as well as supporters. And now, the Abiy Ahmed's government, of course, is being propped up by some, Middle Eastern countries in one way or the other. And now, if at all Museveni decides to engage in Ethiopia, it means that the support he has been getting in Somalia is going to be taken away by the Americans and other Western countries, because what he would be doing with his engagement in Ethiopia, he would be escalating the war rather than de-escalating. So, a military intervention, it is said that it is, some of the analysts say that a military intervention, of which I look at it as, a plausible kind of argument, because Museveni has intervened in each and every country on the continent, and they know he's a warmonger in one way or the other. And now the other obstacle to that particular military intervention of Museveni in Ethiopia is that right now Kagame and Museveni are at loggerheads. And you cannot go to Kagame and then come to Museveni to come and, they work together on an Ethiopian issue. They cannot. It cannot. I don't know who works for Abiy Ahmed's diplomacy, and I don't know who actually gave him that advice to actually go and speak to Kagame, to come and speak to Kagame, Museveni first and then speak to Kagame. I just didn't know who actually helped him to work those things out. Whereas there is this old adage of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but here it does not apply. Because now Kagame, seeing that this gentleman went to Museveni first, he's undermining me, so I'm not going to be of help. And by Abiy Ahmed going to Kagame, Museveni is looking at it and he's like, so you want me, and then you also want Kagame? You should choose between me and Kagame. So literally, it's going to make it harder for Abiy Ahmed. It is going to make it harder, and the best answer Mr. Abiy Ahmed got from these two leaders, I hear, it was that stop the war, meaning that we are not interested in engaging in Ethiopia. Now, the engagement in Ethiopia is because, number one, is because it is not the Americans that are telling Museveni to engage, or it is not the French that are telling the Rwandese to engage. That's why you see the reason as to why Rwanda was successful to deploy in Mozambique. It is because the French actually bankrolled Rwanda, as well as they told them to go and help out. They did not come to Museveni. They never came to Museveni. Whereas Museveni was also looking at that deal to go and engage in Mozambique. The deal passed, and they didn't give it to him, but they gave it to Kagame. And now, Kagame is also very aware, as well as Museveni is very aware, as well as Salva Kiir doesn't even have a standing army. Literally, you cannot engage Salva Kiir to have the militia and the South Sudanese army to go and engage in Ethiopia because it literally doesn't have a standing army. Uh, uh, Maybe if I told you just want South Sudanese vote in one way or the other. But for as long as Abiy Ahmed is still unpopular with the West, the people that are being propped up by the West are not going to engage. That is why you see when the Americans told Museveni that we want to bring the Afghan refugees there, prepare some beds and water and food, Museveni was very quickly to prepare food and water, right? But if at all he had been told by Afghanistan itself to take in the refugees, Museveni would not take the Afghan refugees. You get the point? So Abiy Ahmed knows very well now that he's running out of allies. And the fact that the people you run to is Museveni, that really means that you are really that desperate. I don't know what the cause of desperacy is. But of course, Mr. Abiy Ahmed, with what he did, he's likely to be indicted with war crimes as well. And now we also understand that with the indictment of war crimes, with what happened in Tigray, and maybe he wants to see if at all he can get some influence in the ICC and things of that sort, and get the backing of the African Union as well as the African leaders, who are a wee bit unpopular and struggling in their particular countries as well. So Abiy Ahmed's shuttle diplomacy as well has not been fruitful because the people he has been visiting, especially Museveni, he is still struggling, carrying his own luggage and trying to sort his own mess out. And we are not likely to see anytime soon the UPDF troops going to Ethiopia. I would really, 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 really be surprised. The only reason as to why the UPDF would engage in Ethiopia, it is only and only if the UN or the Western donors or AMISOM and all these other guys, Western donors would tell Museveni to deploy in Tigray, actually to support the Tigrayans rather than supporting the government in power today. Then the other issue is the only reason as to why Museveni would engage in Ethiopia. I mean, I don't even see on the side of Abiy Ahmed is only and only if there are any minerals or something that they are likely to steal out of Ethiopia. And that is why you see we engaged in Democratic Republic of Congo. In fact, Uganda's intervention in South Sudan as well was on the request of the Americans. It is the Americans that were paying and propping up Museveni, even in the interventions in the Congo as well, by the way. So in Ethiopia, we are not seeing anytime soon this happening. Because for all the cards that you're looking at, because even if you're looking at the Egyptians, because the Egyptians are not happy with Museveni, the Egyptians are not happy with Abiy Ahmed. So even if the Egyptians were to they're not happy because of the Renaissance Dam. That's what I mean. So I was looking at a scenario whereby the Egyptians would be, because they wouldn't even come on the side of Abiy Ahmed, because Abiy Ahmed is literally isolated as the prime minister, and he's really in a hot mess. And on top of the problems that Museveni has, he doesn't want to add on any. And I believe the same is Kagame as well as Salva Kiir. So, Mr. Abiy Ahmed and his government went back to Addis Ababa penniless, as well as whatever they set out to achieve. In fact, they did not achieve anything at all. It all turns out that the award that the gentleman was given in 2018, the so-called Pearl of Africa award that is even unrecognized by Ugandans, it all turned out to be just pure air. There's nothing in it, even from someone who gave him the award. So that's it. I guess that's just politics. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. It's been The Breakdown. Fazil here. Guys, we have a new channel called In Africa, where we shall be explaining most of the incidents or most of the stuff that is taking place on the continent in politics, business, finance, entertainment, sports, any story that is happening on the continent. We're going to try as much as we can to explain it. And that channel is called In Africa, and you can find it somewhere in the description there, or it's posted somewhere on the channel here. And then we're going to keep this channel strictly and only for Ugandan content. and then the other channel will be covering the entire continent of Africa. We so far have an episode that is out, and we are also working on an episode of Mamade Dumbaye, the new coup leader of Guinea. So endeavor to go and subscribe to that channel, please, as well. Thank you very much for listening, and have a blessed one. Bye-bye.